I should. That would be clever.
Okay,
Because the way the handle is, it make it seem like that.
you're recording.
Nice.
Oh,
Welcome back to the Chris Massey Show. Today's guest, one of my favorite artists, one of my favorite people in general,
oh man.
one of the best to ever do it. Not just a Detroit legend, but bar for bar, one of the top lyricists. Welcome back.
Oh, you know how to butter my biscuit. What up, though?
Welcome back, Miz Korona.
Thank you. I listen. It's been a long time. You
Yeah.
know, I remember sitting across from you years ago when you first started. You
Yeah,
know,
that
so thank you for having me back, and all the great compliments. That just made me blush. That made me blush.
I'm just being honest because I remember the first time I reached out to you, I was on a different platform. It was like 2010, and I came from a list because I was new, and I was like, this is what I want to do. And you came highly recommended on this list that I got. And you one of the few people that responded.
Wow.
So I'm thankful. I always appreciate day ones because it's like, you didn't know, like nobody knew me. So it's like, you could have easily just brushed it off, especially with, who you are. So I thank you for it.
Well, thank you for that. But I just always try to treat people with the same respect that I would want to get. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, I don't even, honestly, I just look at myself like a regular person. So, you know what I mean? Like, real talk, I don't really. So,
One of the things that I find fascinating about individuals like you is that you're so genuine and humble and laid back and cool.
Oh, man.
But once you get on that mic,
it's over.
people like, that's her? It's like, what happened to the sweet young lady?
It's but that took years of growth. You know what I mean? Years of growth of finally being comfortable in my own skin, and coming from I guess you could kind of say coming from the era of the battle rappers, and being one of the few females that were on the scene. And we just had a lot to prove, so I kind of but I already had when I was younger, I had a bad attitude. I did. I had a bad attitude. I got in a lot of trouble, a lot of fights. So it took a lot, to just grow into this person that I am today. I'm really happy with the person that I am today. You know what I mean? Like, sometimes, like, even how I rap back then, which was way more like hard, I be feeling a little conflicted because now I felt more zenful, and I'm like, but I still slap the shit out of somebody. I would prefer not to get there, but
It's very interesting that you say that because when I was listening to, is it your most recent project, The Virus?
Yes.
But that's the one I was listening to, and I was just like, I'm glad she has this outlet to release anger because I don't want no parts of that if it's outside. If it's outside of that booth, man. It's...
Yeah, I was something. I was something else. I do kind of I give a lot of credit to the people that I surrounded myself with back in the day. I remember, because Proof used to always tell me, like, he used to tell me to calm down. I think I mentioned it in a couple of songs or two, like. Cause I was something, boy. I'm talking about I would be arguing with the security guards. Like, just imagine, me 15 years ago, like, 60 pounds lighter, this all up in this big buff dude's face, like.
But I'm glad you mentioned that because that seemed like that was the tone of the hip hop industry.
Yeah.
Like, it's like what you just said, Busta Rhymes, Exhibit.
Yeah.
It was like, I wouldn't even say just pure aggression, but it's like what they call the hardcore.
It was a lot of aggression. It was aggression back then. It was a lot of aggression back then, and so, it kind of trickled over into you heard it in a lot of the lyrics from artists. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
how they performed. It was, I mean.
It brings that high energy. That's why I love it.
Yeah, but again,
you know how to turn it on and off.
I do. It took a while. Definitely took a while for me to learn how to turn it on and off. And sometimes it still come out because I think when people like the person, like my representative of myself now is just when I walk into the room, people don't see that side anymore. Like before, when I would walk into a room, that was the side that they saw first, and then they would see this side, you know. And so it's like, oh, you are a sweetheart, and I'm like, you know. But now it's reversed, and I think people kind of take that and they try to, you know, think I'm a punk or something. They think I'm.
See,
I don't know. I be feeling like I gotta come back. I gotta bring the old me back sometimes.
See, this is interesting. That's why I love these conversations, because I'm like that. Like, I'm very laid back. But like to sum it up, one of my favorite Snoop Dogg quotes is, "I'm playful, but I don't play." Mm-hmm. You know, it's like why do you want to walk around uptight and angry? Life is beautiful.
Yeah.
You know.
That took a lot of energy out of me. It really did.
Because you really got to try, because it's like, you really don't know who you in the presence of.
Yeah, it took a lot of energy out of me. Like, man, I'm like, man, you know, I didn't want to be the angry person, but it was my environment. Mm-hmm. It was a lot of the things that I went through as a you know, young woman coming up, just in life in general. And then, you know, having to push my way into an industry that was male dominated. I just had a lot on my shoulders, and I was just like, I'm not finna let nobody fuck with me, you know.
Exactly.
That was my mentality, and that's just how I, you know. But my boy Cobb, may he rest in peace, was one person who, you know, used to be like, man, you gotta relax, you gotta chill out, and, you know, again, proof. And most of the people who actually, you know, guided me to allowing, you know, my softer side to just be seen, and just like, you know, you ain't got to be angry all the time. Like they in a better place, and so I kind of feel like they still be around me. You know what I'm saying? But I'm grateful. Man, listen.
I definitely understand, because when you know your worth and what you're capable of doing, it's a balance, and sometimes a struggle depending on the personality of not coming off as trying to prove yourself, as opposed to staying focused and not being distracted.
Right.
Like, for what was that like for you? Because people like you, I appreciate, because you're dope across the board. Not, just because she's a woman, she's good for a woman. Mm-hmm. You know, you'll pound for pound with anybody.
Thank you.
When it comes to lyricism, and you know, because I take that as slight too. You know, when people are like, well, you're pretty successful for a black man. Like,
yeah.
Like, what?
You know, I always said that I don't really care for when people be like, oh, you know, the female MCs and a FemC, or I'm just like, just put us in a category with everybody else, because
either you can rap or you can't.
Right, exactly. We're not like, oh, you dope for a guy, you know what I'm saying, or whatever. But yeah, just that whole period of trying to, like I said, it was a period where I felt like I had to prove myself, because it was just so many guys, and I think it was probably only maybe about 6 or 7 women on the whole entire scene back then.
Right.
And so, you know, we had to work extra hard, you know what I mean? And that wasn't even the era where, you know, women dressed a little less.
Right.
So, you know, you had some of the chicks was like Muslims, so they was rocking the head wraps in the face guard, and so you couldn't see their body. So it was really all about skill. You couldn't even see how they looked, you know.
Exactly.
And you know, it's an honor to still be relevant after so long, and, you know, considered in certain groups as one of the best, because some people don't even mention me in those and at all.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I used to feel a way about it, but I know what I've done. I know what I know all the things that I've accomplished. So,
and
you know,
you one of those. I'm your favorite rapper's favorite rapper. You know,
oh, wow.
You know, it's like people I think who are underrated lyricists off top. Just my favorites, like you, Exhibit, Busta Rhymes. Well, he just proved his point with his new one.
Yeah.
And let's talk about yours, The Virus.
Ooh.
Oh, let's tie that into your name because you had this name
Forever.
Yeah,
Forever.
the original.
Uh-huh.
And
So-
then this came around. So what's that been like for you?
You know, it was funny because, you know, I called myself being in retirement, and the reason why I said I called myself being in retirement is because once I announced that I was going to retire from doing music, everybody seemed like they wanted to book me for shows, and so I was still performing, but then I just shifted it into creating a band called the Korona Effect. And so
Prophetic.
right. And so you know, we traveled, you know, and did some gigs overseas and a bunch of things. And so fast forward like a year and a half later, I still wasn't like recording. I didn't have any want to record anything new. I was just like, well, since people want to book me, I'm just gonna spice up these new songs and these old songs and just do it with the band. And you know, if I feel inspired enough to want to perform new stuff or write new stuff, then I will. But I wasn't even in the mind space for a while I didn't want to. I was just like, I was happy and like doing visual work, and you know, my photography stuff is popping and videos. So I started watching, I think I was watching the news, and I saw just a quick little excerpt about this virus that was over in Japan called the coronavirus. They didn't specify the severity of it or you know, anything like that. I just saw that it was called the coronavirus, and I was like, okay, like I'm gonna hit up some people. I might do a song called the coronavirus, because I just thought it was. I didn't know it was serious like this. You know what I'm saying? I was just like, okay, this might be a sign, because people leading up to that point, people had been hitting me up like, you know, I did the Apollo Brown project. Yeah, I did a joint for him. I did a song with this singer that's based out of Canada, and I probably did like 3 more features that I can't mention because they haven't released them yet. And so I was like, well, people still tapping into me to do stuff, but that was like the only thing that I had done, and I was like, well, maybe I should just drop a song, you know. Right. And then that hit, and then people started creating these memes like, it's time for you to put out a project. You out here, you know, getting people sick with the bars and whatever they were saying. And I was just like, but in my mind, I had already started thinking about that, and I had already reached out to a couple people, but it was just about doing a song or something. And then that song led to a 6-song EP, which led to it being put out on vinyl. And you know, then as soon as we got done with the project, like literally once it got done, it was like, yo, people dying. And they started talking about all the people that was dying from it, and I was like, yo, I might not want to do this. Like, maybe I need to change my rap name. Maybe I need to. And I started thinking about all these things, and I was like, I was seriously praying on it all, and like even put up a couple posts online, you know, like I might need to change my name, because I didn't want it to trigger anybody. You know, I had family members that was sick. I was sick. I didn't even know what it was at the time. Like, they wasn't even testing in the United States for coronavirus at the time. But you know, prior to me recording the project, I was the sickest I had ever been in my life. They told me I had a upper respiratory infection and whatever. But in my mind, once I started creating the project, I was thinking like, well, if this virus is like as serious as they say it is, where people gonna be locked down, then I got this project on deck. So this might be right. And then I was like, okay, it might be the perfect time to drop something, because now everybody is hitting me up. Like, I'm talking about all type of folks, you know, from all type of industry friends hitting me up like, this your time. And I was just like, yeah, well, I got something in the can. I got something right now, you know, but we'll see. And then like my parents got it, and then like my aunt caught it, and 2 of my cousins had it, and it was like on ventilators and shit. So I was like, well, yo, this is like, I don't know. I was shook, you know what I'm saying? But then I prayed on it like, yo, well, wiping people out. Like, what if I was meant to create this, because this is gonna be my last body of work. I started thinking about it, because now I'm locked in the house, away from everybody, and I didn't know where we was gonna end up. I'm like, is this really the apocalypse? Is this gonna be the last thing, like time capsule, like
Right.
So yeah, I dropped it. I can't say we because it's I'm all by myself, but I did have a great team of producers that helped me with the project and recording it at Silent Riot. So it was a nice team of supporters. So yeah, but I put the project out, and it was like the most successful project that I dropped to date. Oddly.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Well, that's super dope, and that's for you. I checked it out a few times. My favorites off of there is No Mask.
I knew you was gonna say that. I knew you was gonna say that.
I mean, so that's what No Mask and Remember the Name. The whole project is dope.
Okay, thank you.
Those my two favorites.
Thank you.
Thank you. I was like, all right.
Yeah. So yeah, the No Mask joint. That was actually the first. That was the first song that was the first verse that I wrote for the project. Yeah, and Mark Cooper did that beat, and then the Respect the Name song, my boy Static. It was crazy because I think he had sent me that beat like a year and a half before I even started the project because, like people just kept trying to like, man, you can't quit. So I was really trying to create stuff, and I just like, when I'm talking about writer's block, it wasn't even a block. It was a brick wall that I just smack dab into, and I'm like, I couldn't think of nothing. I couldn't think of nothing to write. Because
you had mentioned that in that verse on the song with Apollo.
Yeah.
He was like, I came out of retirement for you, bro.
Yeah, I did.
And shout out to him. That's the homie.
Yeah, he hit me up. He like, and what I said in the verse was what how the conversation pretty much went.
So I'm glad you mentioned that because me and my younger cousin, we joke a lot with because it's age gap with the music. Mm-hmm. So we would send each other records. it's like, what's your favorite records for today or whatever for the week? And I was breaking down, like, can your favorite artist do this? And you just did what I said because I sent the We Major with Nas and Kanye. Mm-hmm. And I was like, who else write a verse about writing a verse?
Yeah.
And you, I was like, who can do that? And just like you said, you wrote your verse. Like,
yeah, it was just, the conversation. He's like, yo, like, nah, you can't retire. I need them bars. It's funny because I got a song that he produced for Boog Brown's project, and he always hit me up because my ad libs on there. I'm like, bars. So he's like, I need them bars. I need bars. How you gonna retire when I need the bars? So I'm like, okay, like I got you. But that was the last feature that I had did before, coming out of the hiatus, I guess,
Right.
But yeah, man, I was just like at a standstill, just a complete halt. And I had never, I had experienced writer's block before many a times, but I had never experienced it to that degree. So I was really thinking like, well, maybe it's just, maybe I'm just not supposed to be doing music anymore, and that's fine. I was okay with it. You know what I'm saying? But I don't know. I had never really struggled with it, but then I had conversations with some of my closest friends, like Invincible and DS and Finale, and they like, listen, you've been doing music since you was like 10 years old, writing consistently, and then Invincible broke it down like you never taken a break from the scene. Once you got on the scene, you was like sneaking in clubs at 14, like you never took a break. So, they was like, yo, this is what it is. You probably just need to take a break, and like let all of that other stuff go and like take things in and, and I, at the time I didn't even see it like that. I was just like, yeah, I hear you. I was like, because I consider myself a workhorse to a degree. Once I'm locked in and focused on something, then that's what I work hard at it. And so that was just the thing. I had never not done music. that's all I knew for my whole life. And I was like, man, I didn't know what it felt like to not do music.
Yeah.
But once I stopped doing it, it felt good because for a millisecond I was depressed. You know what I'm saying? But then finding the visual way to tell a story behind that lens, it was just like, okay, I'm all right with it. Right, like it's perfectly fine to not do something that you used to doing consistently every day. It's okay to find a new love. It's okay. You know what I mean? Like, 'cause I was like down in the dumps about it. Like, man.
It's like when athletes post retirement.
Yeah.
You know, if they ain't found that thing, it's like, oh, that's all I know. And you know, that transition period could be depending on the personality. You never know how people adapt. If some don't, you know.
Yeah. You know.
So I'm glad you made it.
Thank
you. You still doing what you do.
Thank you. And you know, I'm glad that people gravitated to it. I'm glad the project didn't suck. Because it would have been terrible to have the name of a virus that's like terrible and like destroying lives. Then I come out and my name is Corona, and then the project was just terrible.
Because people like, oh, she's just trying to capitalize on it.
Yeah, some folks thought that. A lot of people thought that I was trolling. They thought I was, you know, people who wasn't familiar with my career. They thought I was trolling. They thought I was, you know what I mean? They was just like, oh, you trying to capitalize. You really trying to.
Do your research.
Exactly. I'm like, dude, my name been Miz Korona for nearly 20 years, so I'm not trying to capitalize off of anything like that, you know. And I didn't, like I said, I didn't even know how crazy. I would have never thought from seeing that first news clip that sparked the idea in my brain to write a song that today we would be walking around with masks on, you know, and you got to social distance from people, and you know, the amount of people that lost their lives, I would have never imagined. Never.
None of us. But,
you know.
As we bring this one to a close, one more thing. Speaking of 20 years, next year will be 20 years for 8 Mile.
Ooh.
Like, do it seem like, it just seemed like that was yesterday, you know? It's like, do you get tired of people? Like,
no. Because it is what it is. You know what I mean? Like, you know what it is when you go into a certain thing. You know, I had a feeling that would have, you know, I mean, it's one of the biggest artists in musical history. So, you know, going into it, you wanted to be successful. I was hoping that the movie would be successful, so I already knew what I signed up for, you know. I knew what I signed up for. And what's crazy is now it's like life imitating art because I work at Chrysler. So I'm glad that we got to wear
prophesizing all types.
And so I'm glad that we have to wear a mask because nobody has really recognized me there. Man. You know, well, when I first started, a couple people was like, "Ain't you Miz Korona?" And I say sometimes. You know, today I'm not though. Today I'm me punching this motherfucking clock. But yeah, so that's crazy because now I'm literally working in the plant, getting a 30-minute lunch break. Wow. Yeah. So yeah.
Well, yeah, like it's always a pleasure when you come in on. Definitely now we got this new platform, you know, looking for, you know, and our doors are always open. Whether you just want to kick it or you got something, you know, you want to talk about as far as like a release or something.
Okay.
What's the best way?
I got some releases coming.
Bet. Yeah. We on that then.
Yeah.
And what's the best way for people to stay in contact with you?
You know, all the social medias, all the things. But I'm not on TikTok. I'm not on that. But you can find me at Miz Korona, MizKorona on Instagram. It's Miz Korona on Facebook, Twitter. You can follow my photography pages. Trigger Finger Visuals is just like it sounds. Follow my clothing line, Triple Peaks Clothing.
Dope.
And
what's the platforms your music on? All of them?
Everything.
Bet.
Yeah. You can probably even find me on LimeWire if you can tap into that.
Nice. All right.
So yeah. Thank you for having me. I appreciate you, and you know.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And also thank you for everyone for tuning in to the Chris Massey Show. We appreciate you all. You can stay updated with us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Everything is Chris Massey Show. And a special shout out to our official sponsor, the inspirational lifestyle brand Legendary. Their motto is believers become innovators, innovators become legendary. And they're connecting dream seekers and innovators through apparel and accessories. You can follow them on Instagram and Twitter at LGNDRE, Facebook as well, LGN, and the website, lgndre.com. And we appreciate everyone, and we appreciate you. Looking forward to the next time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Peace.
Peace.
All right, we good.